Luka's finally here. Let's get down to business.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, August 15th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making us your first listener watch to get your Friday and, frankly, your weekend going the right way. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is just around the corner, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now. I want to welcome in and give a special welcome to all the everydayers out there, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. We'd love to see you there. And, of course, all our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders as well. Joining me on the show today is my good friend and yours, Coach Bill Robinson, the head coach of the Milligan University Buffaloes and a 2-decade veteran of Carolina Basketball School. That's Carolina's summer basketball camp. I forgot my book with me at the office today, but if you don't have Coach Rob's book, Carolina Basketball School, you need to pick up your copy today. It's great stuff detailing all his experiences and things that go on at camp, and you would be honored. It would be a blessing to you to be able to check that out. Coming up on the show today, on Thursday, Carolina officially released their roster, their jersey numbers. Literally, that happened a couple minutes before we started recording. So I'm actually going to push that to Monday's show. We'll unpack that in more detail, but just know that we haven't missed it and it's coming. Because today, we got to talk about the fact that both LUKA Bogavacs and Ivan Matlakovich are now on campus. So we're going to talk about what that means, what's next, how will Luka's professionalism translate to raising the level for the entire team, and here's something I love, and you know Hubert Davis loves too. LUKA Bogavacs is not some hired gun. He's someone that gets Carolina and wants to be there. So also we'll have our first Project 28 update of the fall 25 season. We got some soccer on tap going on. It's great stuff. That means that everything is upcoming. So Coach, great stuff. We saw these pictures on Wednesday evening that both LUKA Bogavacs and Ivan Matlakovich have arrived at Carolina. Obviously, Ivan has been in the States, but LUKA is just getting in from Montenegro. So it's finally happened. We knew that it was going to, but until it actually did, there was no guarantee. Coach, I know you've been in similar positions bringing in international players. Can you explain for us the relief as a coach when that moment finally happens?
Yeah, you just want to see somebody in person. And it was funny to look at Brad Frederick's face. You know, he's been kind of the lead on this whole thing. I think he had a look of excitement and also just pure relief that he was finally here. And there's been so much talk about it. But I've got one right now I'm working on too. He's been accepted to school. He's been admitted. He's accepted our scholarship offer. But man, I just worry about it until he gets here. Talked to his agent yesterday, and you're still trying to work through all the hoops. And there's still hoops with LUKA as well, but there is a sense of relief, and you're finally sitting there going, "Hey, this is really going to happen. We can start planning on him being part of what we're doing."
So, Coach, let's talk next steps then, because obviously you want to get him in and going. Let's hit those hurdles first, because obviously the three main hurdles, and I think Sherelle McMillan of Inside Carolina has done a really good job of laying this out in some of his reporting, but the three main hurdles: we're getting Carolina admissions approval, check. Then getting his visa and getting to campus, check. That's what we're talking about today. But now the big one, Coach, is NCAA approval and clearance. Until that happens, how do you kind of handle that in terms of involvement with the team and talking about it with the team? How do you go through that?
Yeah, I think as a coach, is my biggest hurdle is to make sure that he feels comfortable and that he's not homesick right away. So I know this sounds, simple, but to get him connected with whoever's on campus right now and take him out for wings and show him where the best pizza is. And we all know it's IP3s on Franklin Street. And you got to get him to all the places where he can get really a sense. He knows and has heard about Carolina tradition, but he needs that trip to, Carmichael and to Sutton's and to all the different places that the guys go to make him feel like he's part of family. Just those little things that make him feel like, hey, I've made the right decision. There's no reason for me to look back. And, it is a long way from home, and he is a professional. I don't think it's going to be as big a deal for him, obviously, than it would be for somebody else. But you still want to make him feel part of the family as quickly as possible.
And the good news is, obviously, all the other guys are now getting back to campus as well. Class starts Monday in Chapel Hill. And so it's just the week go time. And so there's that. I like that. There's not much downtime. There's going to be first week of class activities and all that fun stuff going on. And so you really like that. Coach, this is also somebody, like with Ivan, let's contrast it there. Ivan played at High Point last year. So he's had a year in America. Like, it's one thing to get him acclimated to Chapel Hill, but let's zoom out a little bit. And what are some of the just big picture American acclimations that have to happen?
We have a kid who's coming in from Croatia, and he's been here this summer. He couldn't go back home, and it's been funny because one of my assistants found him with just a big jar of peanut butter, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "We don't have peanut butter." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's just got a spoon and a thing of peanut butter, and just so there's those type of things that we just take for granted. We don't know. The New Zealand guys kept talking about meat pies. They miss meat pies. We don't have the food that they have, and everything's different. So we've got to figure out, when it's bow time. And we got to introduce them to Bojangles and to Zaxby's and Chick-fil-A and all those things for, whatever it is, whatever those type of things that make him feel comfortable. And those are big things. And the quicker those things can happen, I think the better for him.
Well, hopefully Luka's presence on campus leads to lots of Bojangles for lots of fans of Carolina basketball. Coach, also, I don't know what the problem is of carrying around a jar of peanut butter with a spoon, because your boy Isaac does the same thing, man. I love me some peanut butter. No, Coach, that's really good stuff. And obviously, we mentioned, and again, we'll talk about this more in depth on Monday, but Carolina has put the roster out, right? Luka is number 44, and we'll talk about other 44s and stuff like that on Monday. But I mean, we already have some precedent with the NCAA of clearing other guys that have been playing professional basketball in Europe. Obviously, we know there is inconsistency with the NCAA, but does that precedence give you some hope for this clearance happening?
Yeah, I think the precedent and the fact that he's been on the radar for so long, there's got to be, work done ahead of time. And having Bubba as part of the committees and knowing those people really well, I think those are all huge advantages that smaller schools will not have. So I'm hopeful that that's a good thing. Sometimes looks to be negatives, but I do think in this situation it could be a very positive thing. Hopefully it'll get done quickly so he can get on the floor, get with his teammates as soon as possible.
And obviously he can be doing some participation. And so, like, if games started right now, he could not do that, but it's not like he has to sit there and not, play basketball with the team. So that's the good news. And what if you are either Brad or Coach Davis or whomever it is, what is your message to Ivan? Do you say, like, hey, you just concentrate on school and basketball, we'll take care of this stuff, and we'll let you know what's going on when you need to know it? Like, how do you handle that with him psychologically?
Yeah, I think you want to keep them updated. Hey, this is what happened today. This is what we're doing tomorrow. And it doesn't have to be long conversations. It doesn't even have to be meetings. It can be a text message. Hey, this is what we heard today. Just want you to know where we're working and this is what's going on, and keep them updated. Don't want them to wonder at all, but it doesn't have to be an hour meeting every day to really bog things down. Let's just, hey, here's a quick update. This is what we're doing. Make sure that they know that the work's being done and that everything looks great. And I think that's more of the process with those guys. They just need to focus on classes starting Monday. They need to focus on the weight room right now, and not worry about the logistical things.
It's got to be so weird for him to think about, like, this is the guy that's been playing professional basketball for 4 years, who, as we'll talk about in one of the other segments today, like, didn't even have college basketball really on his radar. And now suddenly he's like, I guess I'm going to college. I'm going to get into class, which ultimately is great. He can get a degree and stuff, but it's got to be a bit of a whirlwind for that to now be his reality. So hopefully the NCAA will get this done in a good time to where we are not sitting there as the calendar turns to October and into November and we still don't know. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Obviously, we'll talk about it as news comes about. Now, Coach, I just said it, but Luka is already a professional basketball player. What I want to have a conversation about is how will those experiences raise the level of his teammates both on and off the floor? How can that be a benefit to Carolina and the coaching staff this year? We'll have that conversation in just a second. right after I tell you about Wayfair. As summer winds down, there's always something nice about getting back into the routine you love. We just talked about school starting at Carolina on Monday. Same is true for me and my family. School starts Monday, and so we're going to get back into our routine. And as we do so, Wayfair makes it easy to set yourself up for this season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop to refresh your home, or hey, fellas, your dorm room as the season starts. Luka, you need something? Go check out Wayfair. As we head into the fall, which by the way is the best season, it's a perfect time to refresh and update some furniture. For me, I'm changes to my podcasting studio at home, and Wayfair is the perfect help for that. Organizing, upgrading the space, and more. Also, with Wayfair, the delivery is fast and free, even for big ticket items. So go check that out. And don't forget, all of this comes at a price that fits your budget. Hey, yes, even you college students. So get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head over to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Coach, one of the great things about bringing LUKA BOGAVACs in is that he has already these 4 years of some professional experience doing things. Interestingly, I was reading earlier on Thursday an article from actually earlier in the summer. I think it was back from June from an online magazine called Vigesti, Vigesti. It's funny if you go read it because it's translated from Montenegrin into English. So a lot of it, some of it's a bit awkward. Like the title is LUKA BOGAVACs on Jordan College. North Carolina is not rejecting. Obviously that didn't translate well. But here's one of the things from that article, Coach. Bogavacs told the reporter, North Carolina fans can expect a temperamental and characterful player. Like, I don't think those words translated well. I will try to give 100%. I have great energy and character. I know that the expectations are high and I will try to justify them. I like to be a man of decisions. I like to take the initiative. I like to ask questions to make decisions. I know where I come from. That is the university with the, I said that wrong. I know where I come from. That is the university with the largest fan base in America, meaning North Carolina. I will make sure that the team achieves as many victories as possible and goes to the very top. Coaches, you hear those words awkwardly translated, albeit from LUKA BOGAVACs. What does that say to you about what he's going to bring to this team?
Yeah, I'm not awkwardly excited at all. I'm just purely excited. That's what you want to hear. Obviously, he's bought into the traditions already, and they've done a great job during the recruiting process to let him know exactly, what Carolina's all about. And that's one of the great things about Jordan and about the history of the game and Dean Smith and Roy Williams and everything else. There's much more to be sold than just about basketball. And I've
Sure.
said this to you. I think I've said this to many people. There are two alumni bases that me personally would love to have been involved in. One, I would love to have been a New York Yankee and been able to go back for Old Timers Day. And I'd love to be part of Carolina basketball and be part of that alumni group. It's just something special about that. And once you're in it, you're in it for life and you can't get back out of it. And it's hard to get in. And I'm excited to hear how he views Carolina already, even before putting a foot on campus. And now that he's here, he understands that winning is a big part of it. And I think that more than anything, as being a professional for 4 years, is understanding how important it is to be successful on the floor.
Well, let's talk about that side of it, Coach, because I want to look at how his already professionalism will affect things both on and off the floor. So let's start with that on the basketball court. Coach, I feel like at each level of things you do in life, whether it's at sports or, I'd play a lot of music, for example, one of the ways you get better is by either playing with people that have done it at a higher level than you or people that are better than you. And so, first off, Luke is just a phenomenal basketball player. But secondly, having played at a professional level now for multiple years, at an on-court level, and we'll talk about off the court here in a second, but at an on-court level, how does that help raise the level of the teammates around him?
Yeah, I think it starts in practice every day. He understands that it's been a business for him and it's still a business. And even though they're at the college level and maybe, that it's, college is fun and all these, but when it comes to practice time, he's going to say, hey, this is business. This is work. This is what he's been doing for his occupation for the last 4 years. He's going to bring it every day and he's not going to let the level of intensity drop. And if it does, he'll recognize that. And I do think that he's gonna fight a little bit to make sure that everybody does stay focused. And you need a player to do that. Coaches can do it to a certain level, but if you have a player that can pull everybody together and say, "Hey, this is the way it's got to be," I really believe he's going to have to find leadership from him because of his experience and his age and what he's done. So I'm excited to see how quickly that can happen. I'm not sure it can happen day one, but is it November? Is it Christmas? Is it February before he really makes this his team? But I think he will.
Coach, to that point, we talked so much. Let's go back to last year about leadership, and you and I have talked about it a good deal again this summer, where 2 teams ago, the 23-24 team, there was the greater leadership. Last year, there was more of a void of it. And then our hope has been that Seth is going to provide that at a big level this year. You've talked about that multiple times. You think he's the guy to do that. In that same article that we just referenced, there's a quote where it says, Bogavacs is known as a player with a serious character who likes to be a leader and likes to make decisions in uncertain endings, end quote. Coach, do you see that as a possibility of like, yes, I know he's the last surviving member of this team, but there's probably going to be a level of respect because of what he's already done. Do you think there can be some shared leadership there with Seth?
Yeah, if I'm Seth, the first thing that happens when he gets on campus, and hopefully it's already happened, that they should meet, and not just meet, hey, let's go sit down, but let's go have a meal, let's go bowling, let's go do something where they're spending some time together just to get to know each other. And it's not a, hey, my name is and your name is, and tell me about your family, I'll tell you about mine. But just being together and spending time and just allowing that relationship to grow naturally. But it's important that those two guys need to spend a lot of time together in the next week or so and make sure that everybody's on the same page. That you can't have division between those two. It's still Seth's team. Let's be honest. I do think Luka he's going to take a leadership role, but there's room for two with this group, and I do think that Seth's still the guy. He's still the alpha male, and those two guys have to be on the same page. Come that first game.
Coach, let's talk about some of the off the court experience that his professional experience can bring to this team of how you handle yourself, the things you got to do to achieve at that level. You talked on the court already. Let's talk off the court.
Yeah, I don't think it's as big a deal at Carolina than it would be other places. It's a pretty professional group. The system is pretty professional how they do things. They've got great strength conditioning people. They've got great training staff. It's a pretty tight ship. Those guys don't have to get too far away. I'm thinking about it from the other way. As a professional, when those guys leave the locker room, they're going off to wives and kids, and this should be different for him. And
Yeah.
how can he maybe fight that? Because he's probably used to being able to go home by himself to his apartment and playing video games by himself. And who's his roommate? Is Ivan going to be his roommate, or his? All those things are questions that we just don't know. But I think it's important for him not to off the court treat it professionally, because it's got to be more like a college group. If they're going to be successful playing the game, they've got to spend some more time off the court. So I'm a little concerned more about that, just to see how he fits when it's not the intensity of a practice or a game.
Man, that's a great point, Coach. I absolutely love that. I hadn't thought about that angle of it. I'm personally curious to see if there's a moment. A lot of these guys haven't yet achieved at the level they. I wonder if there's ever a moment when he has to stop things and say, that ain't good enough, or whatever. But as you said, Carolina does have a high level of expectation. So I'm curious what those dynamics will be. Coach, you mentioned it a little bit already, but where we want to take the conversation next is Coach Davis, since becoming Carolina's coach, has so often talked about, we want guys who want to be at Carolina. You might think that Luka is just some international hired gun, but I tell you what, from some of his comments, you would be dead wrong. This guy knows Carolina and he wanted to be part of it. We'll wrap today's conversation with that in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Why not? Look at Drake May. He's plus 6,000 right now. Maybe he just blows up for the Patriots this year. Or maybe you want to crown your Super Bowl champ. Why not the Eagles to repeat? Sorry about that, Coach. I know you don't like that. They're plus 700. Best odds tied with the Bills and the Ravens. Or maybe you want to pick all 8 division winners and parlay that together. That would be a great one. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Coach, one of the neat things in reading that article I referenced in the last segment is that it's clear that Luka already had a knowledge of and appreciation for all the history and tradition of North Carolina basketball. It's funny that that comes at a time where here in America, because of NIL and the transfer portal, it's like, yes, the brand still holds its weight, but maybe it doesn't help as much in recruiting because of that. And here's what Lukas said or in that article, quote, "I hadn't considered college as an option. During the season, a serious offer and great interest appeared. Knowing that North Carolina is the cradle of NCAA basketball, boy, I love that, and one of the most prestigious universities, I couldn't refuse the offer when it arrived. There was interest from other colleges, but when the offer from North Carolina arrived, I knew that this was it." Coach, that gives me goosebumps in a good way. What do you take away from that comment?
No, it's pretty obvious that if it hadn't been Carolina, he would have just stayed and played pro. I don't think that that's there's any doubt that because of the Carolina, the brand, the history, everything we talked about, it made the difference. And that's good to know that there's still that power out there, and it will still attract the type of players that maybe wouldn't go somewhere else. So that also tells me, without even seeing film, if I didn't know anything else, he's really, really good. He's really, really good. And guys who aren't that good, they don't have those type of options. He has options. I'll just stay and play pro. I mean, gosh, he's got to be really, really good to have the attention that he got and the decision making that he had to make. The kid's got to be really, really good.
Yeah. And it gives you, I know we've talked about just from a like point guard standpoint with Elliot Cadeau out the door to Michigan. Seth, we know, can handle some of those responsibilities, but some questioning of Kyan Evans' capability, which I know you've said, like, I feel good about his playmaking, but there is some goodness in knowing that if that doesn't pick up right away, Luka is very comfortable with the ball in his hands and can be that playmaker. Hopefully, that just means there's multiple playmakers because Kyan's doing what you are assuming he can do. But that does, I think, provide some relief, correct?
Yeah, and I think there's times where you're going to see Luka grab a rebound and just go. And it's not going to be a point guard sitting there at the outlet going, outlet, outlet, outlet. It's just going to be him go and let everybody else fill spots and let Luka either, run some stuff off of pick and roll or just allow him to penetrate and kick or whatever, but allow him to just have the ball in his hands. And some of that's just going to be, you just let him play. You don't need to call it. You don't need to control it. You just need to let him go. And I think that's what we're going to see him more. Maybe not say, hey, he's the point guard on the floor right now, but he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to make decisions.
Coach, Hubert Davis well, what makes him tick, what's in his heart and things like that. Knowing how much, as we've said, how much he values having players that want to be at Carolina because they want to be at Carolina, not just because of the price tag or because whatever it is. Knowing him, how much do you think it means to him to know that Luka wanted to come to Carolina because he wanted to come to Carolina? What does that mean to Hubert Davis?
I think it means everything. And we've heard Coach Williams talk about the love that Hubert has and that his passion in his little finger is more passion than the whole fan base. We've heard Coach Williams talk about that. So I think it means a lot. I mean, you don't have to sell him on anything. And it feels like he's just jumped right into the middle of a family reunion and that he's already been part of it. And even though he's new, he understands exactly what he's getting himself into. And it's not about, well, they gave me more money than somebody else or anything like that. This is his dream. This is where he wanted to be. He didn't want to be anywhere else. And that's exciting for me. It's got to be super exciting for Coach Davis.
Oh man, I can only imagine. I mean, and it's so neat. You referenced earlier the picture of both Luka and Ivan Matlakovich walking in with Coach Fred behind them, another picture with them talking to Hubert Davis. And then we also saw some of them being at the museum and some of them inside the Smith Center. And so, as you said earlier, man, just getting them baked into some of those traditions and experiencing it already. Like, it's just neat to see. Coach, here's the next one is, how quickly do you think these guys are, like, as the rest of the team gets back this weekend, they're going to get in the gym and they're going to be having some run, and then we're going to get some footage of it? How quickly is that going to happen?
Yeah, I hope it happens in the next day or two. I really do this weekend. But the Smith Center is different. The last thing I did before leaving camp this summer, I was the last one out on the last day and took a picture of just the empty gym, just me in the empty gym. And it gives me goosebumps to think about that. And I don't get the chance to play or practice in there. I can imagine he's going to do the same thing. Ask a manager, hey, can you come rebound for me and let me get some shots up. But to be able to walk into that gym knowing that you're going to get to play there and you're getting the chance to work out in there, it's just it's an unbelievable feeling. It's hard to describe how special that place is. So I think he appreciates it already. I think he'll appreciate it more and more the more time he spends actually being able to participate in that place.
All right, social media team, get us footage. We need it now. Coach, we've been waiting anxiously for sports to get back this fall. We're just a few short weekends away now from the first football game. But the good news is the first regular season action happened yesterday. We're recording before it happened, but Thursday, the women's soccer team was at Tennessee, preseason number 1, Carolina women's soccer. Oh, by the way. So we don't yet know the result as we record this, but they do play again Sunday. They're hosting Siena at 1. That's going to be on ACC Network Extra. And that's great news. Can't wait to see how they go about defending their national championship. Now, Coach, tomorrow, Saturday, is a big day for you, and it's a big day for something that is very near and dear to your heart. Would you share that with us?
Yeah, the 16th is the 1-year anniversary of the book coming out. So it's been a really cool thing. I know it's just hard to believe it's been a whole year, but just sent some more books to Franklin Street. So if anybody's looking for a book on Franklin Street, Alumni Hall is going to have them there. And it's been a really cool run. It's been a lot of fun, just to be able to hand a box to Coach Williams and Coach Davis and for them to have them on hand. And it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully it'll continue and continue to grow the way it has. But just to be a little bit a part of Carolina tradition and Carolina history, I'm very excited.
Man, I truly can't believe when you told me it was going to be the year. I was like, wow, it's just snuck up and absolutely love it, Coach. So proud of you. So grateful for the success with the book and excited to see a re-energization. I don't know if that's a word of people buying it as we get back into the fall. And so that's great stuff there. And absolutely love it. All right, guys, Luke is on campus. Ivan's on campus. The whole team is there. The roster's set. We'll talk about that on Monday and jersey numbers and history and all that, because that's always a fun, dorky endeavor for me. And I absolutely love that. We want to thank you all so much for joining us again. Make sure you go check out Coach's book. If you don't have your own copy, get it or buy it for a loved one or a Duke fan. They would love to have it as well. If you've not subscribed to the show on video and audio, do that now so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. We'd love to have you join us in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, where it's Carolina fans talking all day, every day. That link's in the show notes, free to join. And we'd also love to see you, if you want to go even deeper with the show, become a Locked On Tar Heels insider. That link is also in the show notes. Hope you all have a great weekend. Cannot wait to talk to you again on Monday. But until then, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Peace.